When did I change? When did I start feeling different? When did rest stop feeling like rest? When did I start reading every room automatically? And when did intimacy begin to feel more distant? Different questions, but they are all asking the same thing. When did something inside me begin to shift? Most women assume there must have been a moment, a turning point, but there usually wasn't. And that's one of the most important things the Psychology for Escort framework explains. The nervous system changes long before the conscious mind notices. Today I want to show you why. In the previous video, I introduced the Psychology for Escort framework. 6 psychological mechanisms, 3 long-term adaptive effects. But understanding the framework immediately raises another question. If these adaptations develop so consistently, why don't most women notice them while they are happening? Why do they often only recognize the changes months or sometimes years later? According to the Psychology for Escort framework, the answer lies in 2 central models: the adaptive progression model and the regulatory threshold model. Together they explain why adaptation is usually invisible while it's being built. Most people imagine psychological changes as something dramatic, a crisis, a traumatic event, a moment that changes everything. But biological adaptation rarely works that way. The nervous system doesn't wait for the dramatic moment. It learns from repetition. Every client, every conversation, every moment of emotional regulation, every time you stay present while regulating your own internal experience. Individually, none of those moments changes very much. But together, they teach the nervous system what kind of world it lives in. The more often a specific psychological demand is repeated, the more efficiently the nervous system learns to meet that demand. Not because something is wrong, because that's what nervous systems are designed to do. That gradual process is what the adaptive progression model describes. It doesn't predict what will happen to every woman. It maps increasing probability. The longer certain demands are repeated, the more likely it becomes that emotional regulation, containment, dissociation, and other adaptive strategies become increasingly automatic. Not inevitable, increasingly likely. That distinction matters. And here's the interesting part. The nervous system never announces that it's adapting. In fact, adaptation often feels like improvement. You become calmer, less overwhelmed, better at reading people, more emotionally steady. Those don't feel like warning signals. They feel like professional growth, which means there is very little reason to question what's happening. Because from the inside, everything still feels normal. The adaptation doesn't feel like adaptation. It simply feels like you. So why do women eventually notice? Because gradual change eventually reaches a point where it becomes visible. Within the Psychology for Escort framework, these moments are called regulatory thresholds. Not because something suddenly changed, but because enough gradual adaptation accumulated to become conscious. Think about watching the hour hand on a clock. You never actually see it move, but several hours later, it's somewhere else. The movement was continuous. Your perception wasn't. Psychological adaptation works much the same way. Every working day adds another small adjustment. Almost impossible to notice in isolation, until one day something feels different. Perhaps you notice that dating feels different. Perhaps intimacy feels quieter. Perhaps conversations leave you feeling strangely tired. Perhaps emotional closeness begins to require more effort than it once did. Those moments often feel sudden. Biologically, they almost never are. Their accumulated learning becoming visible. Understanding these two models changes the entire interpretation. Without them, many women conclude, something is wrong with me. I've become emotionally distant. I've changed. I've lost something. The Psychology for Escorts framework offers a different explanation. Nothing suddenly broke. Your nervous system gradually learned. The adaptations were becoming more efficient long before they became noticeable. Understanding that changes the question completely. The question is no longer, when did I become different? The better question becomes, what has my nervous system been learning all this time? That question opens the door to understanding. And understanding is always the beginning of choice. In the next video, we are going to move one step deeper. We have looked at how adaptation develops. Now we are going to examine the mechanisms themselves, not as 6 separate concepts, but as one continuous chain. Because every adaptation creates the condition for the next. And once you understand that chain, you understand why the psychological effects of high-end escort work are more systematic than they first appear. I'm Eva Valora. If you are interested in the thinking behind the Psychology for Escort framework, I publish new essays every month at psychologyforescorts.com.